friends. And I want to show you a clip from a show I watched when I was a kid. It was reruns by then, but a show I watched as a kid. All right, let's see if you recognize, if you ever saw this one.
Trigger.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger.
All right, anybody ever watch that? Besides me? Oh, just about everybody. All right. Some of you need to go back and find that and watch that. Good old show. He was one of the good guys. All right. But I want to say something about the name. The Lone Ranger wasn't actually alone. He had Tonto with him, who was his Indian friend. Tonto had saved his life, and they stayed together. And if you ever watched the show, every town they went to, they go to a different town every episode. They found some of the good people, and they worked with them. So the Lone Ranger was not a loner. Okay? Even the Lone Ranger wasn't alone. He had friends. Because being a loner is not good. We need people close to us. We need friends. So my theme for today is we're better together. We are better together. And I really believe that. Let's read some verses in Ecclesiastes. 2 people are better than 1, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. We are better together. So the question for today is, I'm going to try to answer why. Why are we better together? And talk about 7 reasons I believe we're better together. Number 1, we can do more together than we can do by ourselves. An individual can do a lot, but we can do more together. Ephesians 4, he makes the whole body fit together perfectly as each part does its own special work. It helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. He's talking about the Christian group, the church, that we're compared to a body. And every part of your body has its own part. My ear can hear, but it's no good at grabbing a hammer. It needs a hand. See, we all are different and have our parts, and so, but we can all work together for good. Now, let me pull out you've seen a piece of Lego. A Lego. By itself is not much good, except if your grandchildren leave it in the floor and you step on it in your bare feet. And it hurts. It can do a lot by itself, like that. But when you put these together, and I loved playing in these when I was a kid, when you put these together, you can do things like make a whole town and an Eiffel Tower. You can put these together and make a Mona Lisa out of Legos. You can put them together and make a full-size house with a functioning toilet, shower, and a bed, only it's a little hard. It's Lego. Over 3 million Lego pieces made that house. And then my favorite, a church with all the little Lego people. Now what's the point? The point is, sometimes we're like this one Lego, but when you put us together, oh man, we can do a lot. We're better together. We can do more together. And so we want to do more for God. And then I had this picture from just a couple months ago when we did our shoe boxes, which we did more than we ever did here because we did it together. And then you put it with our church and the other church and this people and those people. They did over 90 million shoe boxes. 90 million last year in over 100 countries. There was 90 million little kids who felt somebody loved them and had heard about Jesus because what we can do together. And that's why one reason we need friends, we're better together. Number 2, God created you and me to need other people. He created us as relational. You remember in Genesis it says, it is not good for man to be alone, God said. He made it so for us to want to be a relationship with Him and relationship with others. That's the way we are. I'm not saying every relationship always turns out great, but He has made us to have good relationships. I like this quote from a preacher named Rick Warren. In our final moments, we all realize that relationships are what life's all about. Wisdom is learning that truth sooner rather than later. If it is your final moments, and the doctor says she's probably got 24 hours or whatever, what are you going to do with that 24 hours? You're going to call work and say, I just want to make sure everything's still okay down to office. You're going to check your bank account. If you do, it's only to say, you're okay when I go, dear. You know, you're not going to worry about the things. Let me look at the pile of stuff I got. I want to look at it one more time before I die. Is that what we're going to do? No. You know what we're all going to do? We're going to say, can you come here? Let me say I love you one more time. Be together with people that care for us. Somebody said if the world was going to end in 24 hours, every phone line in the world will be jammed up with people wanting to call and say, I love you. A lot of you know my brother died last month. Today's his birthday. I would be calling him again today. And I called him again. We got into regular habit the week he died. Of course, we didn't know it was going to be the week he died. And the last time we ever called. We talked about Alabama football and politics and how things were going. But one thing that we started doing in our old age that we didn't do when we were young, we ended our phone calls with, love you, brother. I love you. And when you think about that, you're glad you tell someone, love you, brother. Because you realize that's more important than whether you got 1,000 likes or a bunch of views on YouTube, or you're famous for a bunch of people you don't even know. But if you got a few people that you care about, that love you, and you love them. And God made us that way. To want a relationship with Him, and to want a relationship with other people. Number 3, why are we better together? Because friends can help us grow spiritually. It says in Romans, when we get together, I want to encourage you in your faith, but I also want to be encouraged by yours. We're going to help each other. We're going to encourage each other, because there's a lot of discouraging things in this world. So we need to be encouraged in our faith, because there's a lot of things that attack our faith and say, why are you even believing in God, or why are you praying? Has He done you any good this week? Of course, when we listen to a song like that last one, we know He has, but we forget that. And we get discouraged, and we need encouragement. And so that's why we're better together, because all of us go through stuff like that, and we need encouragement. There's a preacher in Canada by the name of Carey, and this is part of an article I read. He says the only one who wants us to believe we are better off alone is our enemy. It's sure not God, because you read about Jesus, He never said that. The only one who wants us off alone is the enemy, and we listen to him so much. He goes on to say, almost all of us who follow Jesus, almost all, found out through a church, we had our lives changed by a flawed body called the church. That Jesus so passionately loves and calls His own. I will build my church, Jesus said. When you go against the church of God, you will go against Jesus Christ and His body. And what gets me sometimes is people in America always hating America when they've come from some other country. They go back. And another thing that gets me is people who are Christians always running down to church. What do you think the church is but Jesus' body? Flawed? Yes. And I know some churches are way out there wrong, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if we're going to have a church, we're going to have it with flawed people, because that's the only kind there are. But that gives us a chance to love people who don't deserve it, to learn to deal with those things and grow ourselves. It was God's idea, and we need the church, and the church needs us. And it's, as he says, come to think of it, heaven is a community too. If you don't like being with God's people, you ain't going to like heaven. Because what do you think's there? All right, that's a little bit of a rant, so I'll back off. In your early days, most of us were shaped mostly by our family, and as we grow older, we're shaped by our friends. And that's why we need good friends who will help us to learn the things. So I think it's good to do it not only in the family of God, but in the family of God in the church. So I like this quote also by C.S. Lewis. The next best thing to being wise is to live in a circle of those who are. We need to be around some people who are going to help us gain in wisdom, which is why Proverbs 13, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. We know that we tell our teenagers that, if you have teenagers, you know, who you hang around with is going to make turn out what you're like. So we need to hang around with some good people. Doesn't mean we don't help the others, I get it. But we're better together because good friends can help us grow. Number 4, friends can help with the stress of life. Anybody here ever have any stress? Yeah.
Amen.
I like it. Even our junior high, yeah. I go to school. Sure, we all have some kind of stress. And so Galatians says, share each other's burdens. We need somebody to help us with this. I have found out that sharing joys makes them twice as good. When I see a beautiful sight, the first thing I want to do is, hey, did you see that? Look at that beautiful sunset. Look at that, the mountains there, aren't they great? I want to share that with somebody. Matter of fact, we have deer come in our backyard all the time, and we still say, hey, look, a deer here. We've seen them 1,000 times, but hey, there's a deer. Because when you share even the simplest joys, which are the best, it makes it twice as much enjoyable, better. Sharing joys makes them twice as good, but sharing sorrows can make them half as heavy. Somehow, I mean, it doesn't go away. You still have the problem, but somehow when I share that with somebody and they listen to me and they care, it's not quite as heavy a burden as it was. Which is why we're supposed to share each other's burdens. There are 2 kinds of people. VDPs are very draining people. When you say there's a deer, I've seen it before. Look at that beautiful sunset. I saw a better one last week. You know, you try to do something kind for them. You maybe make a meal for them. Well, it was okay. We have a meal at church. How'd you like the cake I made? Ooh, it's a little dry. They find a way to drain any energy, emotion out of you in everything they do. Very draining people. God help us not to be very draining people because we've already got plenty. We want to be VIPs, very inspiring people. If the cake's a little dry, keep it to yourself. And say, thank you for the good cake. Thank you for thinking of me. You know, if somebody takes some extra special step to give you something. You know what that means? They care enough to think about you and what you care for. It doesn't have to be $1 million. If they know you like Oreos and give you a pack of Oreos, hallelujah, somebody in this world thought about you. You know how big a deal that is? When most of them are not thinking about you at all, and somebody comes and thought about you? Wow, thank you, God. For somebody who thought about me and would give me something. So, let's be VIPs and not VDPs. Number 5, friends make life more enjoyable. And this sort of goes along with that one, but it just when I would rather eat together with somebody else than eat alone. I'd rather watch a show with somebody or a movie with somebody than watch alone. Talking, I'd rather talk with somebody than talk to myself, which I do sometimes. It's more fun. Talk with other people. Life is just more enjoyable. Telling funny old stories. So go out to lunch with Charles Hood and let him tell you all his old stories about the country music people he knew. And he'll have you laughing, and that's good. And other people, everybody here's got something interesting to share. And talking with other people and worshiping together. All of these things are more enjoyable together than they are by myself, being a hermit. And that's what God made us. And we can enjoy that. Now, I'm on Facebook. I know some of you are, and I don't care whether you are or not. But here's a couple of reasons I'm on Facebook. I do like to catch up with old friends I haven't seen for years, see how they're doing, and pictures of them. I like pictures. I also on Facebook because people put pictures of food on there. And I'll see that dessert or that fried chicken. And also because a lot of my friends now are putting funny sayings and pictures on there. And I get a laugh. And I'll say, thank you, look at this. She gets 2 or 3 times every night. I say, hey, look at that. And she always gives me a courtesy laugh. Well, it's funny enough. So I want to share a couple with you that are food and funny sayings. All right? All right. A friend suggested horse manure on my strawberries. I'm not doing that again. I'm going back to whipped cream. Here's another. Sorry I haven't gotten anything done today. I've been in the produce department trying to get this stupid plastic bag over. Here, this is me and Sandy. And now what may I bring you for dessert? Nothing for me. I'm stuffed. Oh, I can't eat another bite. It's included with the meal, double frozen brunch, cheddar cheesecake. That would be us. I think. And one more. How many days in a row have we been eating these cabbage rolls? It's been at least 4 or 5 days, hasn't it? And your point is? It's getting better every day. Life is just more enjoyable with friends, with other people. It's just, and that's a good thing. So we're better together. Number 6, friends can help bring better health. Vanderbilt University, which is right here in Nashville, did a study in 2017, and this is a quote from their long study. People who attend services, or a church, or a synagogue, or a mosque are less stressed and live longer. Middle-aged, age 40 to 65, adults, both men and women who attend church or other house of worship, reduce their risk of mortality by 55%. Aren't you glad you're here today? Now, we're all going to die anyhow. I know that. All right, Mama Richard, thank you for reminding us. But you're going to live longer till you do, generally, when you go to church. Several different reasons, Fred, I think. But I think that one, as we're better together. And it didn't depend, by the way, on where you're from, your education, your amount of income, your health insurance, none of that. It all was better when you went to church. So, you're going to live longer. We're better together. Number 7, friends help you achieve your goal. Back our first verse. 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. And off of Proverbs 11, there is safety in having many advisors. It's just safer to get some other advice besides what's all in your own brain. find out some help. And so we can help each other succeed in whatever we want to succeed in. Want to get the car fixed right, something in the house, something on the job, going about money, growing as a Christian, my devotions, how about a good Christian song I need to help me, encourage me. Just anything. We can help each other succeed. And that's the reason for friends. Now, Andrew Jackson, who lived right over here at the Hermitage, was orphaned at age 14. As his mother lay dying, she said, Andrew, you're going to have to make it on your own. And you can't do that without friends. So be it have a friend, you got to be a good friend. Wow, what great advice to a 14-year-old. And he said he remembered it all his life. And he tried to be a good friend, to make good friends that would help him. And we're going to talk next week about how to be a good friend. Because I really believe that's part of the key. We be a good friend. Because, yeah, where can I get a friend like that? Well, start here. Be one. And then we can get them. But let me take a couple of stories. I got a pair of gloves here to remind us. In the Civil War, of course, was a very divisive war in America, North against South. Worst war in our history. All the wars combined hadn't killed as many Americans as the Civil War. After the war, a man who fought for the Union by the name of John Wesley Powell and a man who fought for the Confederacy, the South, C.E. Hooker, met together. And he ended up becoming friends. Now, one of them in the Civil War had lost a right arm. And the other one had lost his left arm. Now, to me, this is a story for our day when we divide so easily over politics and become haters and want the other person to die. These two men were enemies in a war where you were killing each other and still became good friends. And we need to learn to not have to have everybody exactly agree with everything on my politics before I'll get along with it. But they became good friends, and so whenever one of them would buy a pair of gloves, he'd send the one he didn't need to his friend. They did that for 30 years. They stayed friends, and one or the other would always get a glove that year. One more story Tim Keller tells about going to a colony where they had leprosy, and leprosy can affect parts of your body, losing parts of your body. Now this is just a picture of a man sowing seed to remember, but Tim Keller said he saw a man sowing seed there, two men sowing seed together, but one of them had no hands. So he was going through the field and making a hole in the ground for a seed with his foot. On his back was a man with no legs, who would take and hang on his back and put the seed in the hole. Together, they planted the seeds. Now here's the thing. They were both, just like the Civil War people, wounded or hurt, maybe by others, maybe by disease, but flawed people working together for a common good. I don't know I know a lot of your history, but I know everybody here's had trouble. Flawed people could work together and accomplish something big and great and good. And be happier doing it. That's why the older I get, the more I believe in the value of good friends.